Hey everybody, how's it going? So this is going to be the start of me talking, I guess how I've always wanted to talk, just talking. And I'm not going to explain into things at this moment if you don't understand, because I really just need to speak. And the angels and my guides say it's safe to do so, and now is the time. So basically, I love the universe. The universe has actually, well, it's always led me and everyone where you're meant to go. And it's up to you if you recognize the help from them, ask for it, allow for it, any of that. I've always allowed for it because I have always asked for the highest, purest intention of love, and I've always trusted from that space. And everything that I go through and do in life is from that space. So that's why I trust the divine and the universe and everything about Earth and the universe and the all. My point being is my journey, though I always wanted it to be somewhere here, I didn't realize it'd be like this since I was a child. And now I'm here, and it's definitely different than I expected, but the core, the intentions that I wanted are still the same. And it's so beautiful, and I love it, and I wouldn't change anything about it, even though it's totally different than what I thought I had wanted. And at the same time, it's exactly perfect, and in every imperfect way for what is meant to be. So lately, as most of you know who have been following me know, that I have gone through some hard times myself with needing to heal my heart chakra. And it was trashed. And I'm not trying to say it's not still in pieces and trying to come back together, but it's what brought me and reminded me and inspired me about every single thing. And what I'm trying to say here is the last few days, going back into myself and healing more, it brought me back, because this is all where you always need to go, to your inner child, to who you are, to who you truly are. And I've always loved humans. I've always thought they were so beautiful, and I've ever only wanted for us all to experience love, joy, happiness, and just so much fun. I wanted everyone to have their dreams granted for them, to live their passions, to thrive. I love watching people in their moments doing what they love to do. I was just listening to a song that means so much to me and my family, Time to Say Goodbye by Sarah Brightman and Andre Bocelli. It's one of our all-time favorites. The thing about that song is one of the closest people in our lives who showed us that song passed away very unexpectedly at a very young age. And that's still one of the things I think is hardest in life, is dealing with people's death, having to say goodbye, even when it's one of the hardest things to do. I still think it's the hardest thing to do. We've had many people around us die unexpectedly, super young. And it's still tough. I don't think anything can ever overcome that. But the thing is, what makes it easier is knowing that life is eternal, and that a frequency, that they're still around you, and that it's not, energy cannot be destroyed nor created, but just transformed in a different way. I miss them. But at the same time, they're always around me, because I know that song just came to me today after the last few days of them reminding me things about myself and inspiring and triggering things. And this was the last step for me to actually make this video, which is why I believe in divine timing and everything, especially that today is the summer solstice, and this is when they told me that things would be changed completely. So yesterday, I was watching, there's a new show on Netflix called The Chef Show. And have you guys ever seen the movie The Chef with Jon Favreau and Roy Choi? Sorry if I don't say your guys' names right. That was an amazing movie. It really was. It was great feelings and everything. Everybody in it, the whole storyline. I actually thought it was a true story, but supposedly Jon wrote it. And Roy wanted to make sure that he did everything correct as a chef, because he was saying that most chefs are like so bothered and annoyed by shows that try to do stuff about chefs, but that one really hit the nail on the head. And just watching them put the love into the food and everything they do, and then appreciating other chefs that put the love One of my favorites was the second episode when the chefs are just admiring each other. When the one guy with the food, the hat, you'll see if you watch that second episode, they're at his restaurant, and he literally looks at Roy and says that he did it for him because he knew how much he would appreciate the efforts put forth into it. And the day before that, I was watching what were we also seeing? And it was, again, people putting in fully to their passions. I wish I could remember at this moment, but I'm just so overwhelmed by all this feeling. I love watching people put into so many of their passions, just like that music video with Sarah Brightman and Andre Bocelli. When you watch them sing, all that stuff they put in, the orchestra, all the people putting in all their passion to create what they do, it's a moment in time where everything freezes, and creation, such passion, such fire, such amazingness. It is so amazing. And that's exactly what I wish for all to experience. Just to be purely happy and not have to worry. And the truth is, I do believe it's possible. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I actually went through a really hard time, probably since it started in 2010, but 2013 really, where I learned a lot about the world and learned how much the world was not as I thought completely. That I learned the darker side of things. I was living in the most beautiful light and was so bubbly and saw everything as beautiful and positive that there was no negativity around. And then it went completely extreme, and all I saw was the darkness. But through that darkness, I saw light again, so much light and so much hope, and I also saw what life truly is. And life is both. The realm that we're living in is both light and dark. And yet here we have so many light people hating on the people of darkness, not realizing that there is no light without darkness, and there is no darkness without light. And when I say that, I also mean the ones that light consider dark, looking at themselves. Like, the people who look at the light, the light that look at dark, do you know that the dark considers themselves light, and they look at that light as darkness? So in truth, we're all light and dark, and it's truth. We are all within all of us, in all energy charges, positive, negative. And you can choose to be the balance of both. And that is actually when all magic happens. What I'm trying to say is, when I learned more about the world and the Illuminati and the elitists and everything that is controlling the world at the moment, I had the hardest time. It's so obvious, and I know to others it's not obvious at all. And yet when you know it, it's so in your face, and they have been parading it around in our faces for thousands and thousands of years. And yet they've been waiting on us, too, to finally see and realize and recognize, because they're tired, too. You think they want to do this for millions more years? But in truth, everything in its own time. And it is our time. The realm we're living in is forgiveness. And we need to forgive the Illuminati. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive each other. And we need to forgive. Just forgive. So that we can accept and exist. I want you to understand that the ones that exist in darkness, they don't just exist in darkness for nothing. It comes and stems from the moment when we are conceived and born. It comes from the generations before us, the life lessons that we need to learn, that each generation gets affected because of the behavior from the parent. That the child, all they are love and wish to just make parents proud. And then we get so damaged, and it leads us to become who we are. And then it's up to us, and yet society makes us think we have to be these picture-perfect things that lie about all the suffering happening within us. The truth is, all of us are just people who didn't know how to deal with things because we didn't understand it, and we didn't know what to do at the time. And as we go through life, we do learn more. And it's a tough thing to do. Life is tough. As beautiful as life is, and as much as you can appreciate it and see it, it doesn't change the fact that life is tough for everyone, for all of us in our own ways. And we're all just doing the best that we can. Most of us are suffering, and most of us lash out and react without realizing that we are even acting certain ways because we don't really know what's going on. And that's why If we all learn to forgive like we're meant to. I'm not even religious, but it's about the heart, okay? It's about the heart. The kingdom to heaven is in all of our hearts, and that's the heart chakra. And it's up to you to be pure love. You don't have to be religious to be accepted into heaven. You don't have to do things in a certain way. It's up to you to accept yourself from within, from all. The truth is, God loves every single one of us, every single one, even Lucifer. I'm going to be talking more about that stuff further and further into that kind of stuff because that's for an entirely different episode. But I love those stories. They have so many lessons in it for us. What I'm trying to say here is, though, the world and where it's going is up to us. If you wish to fight against it, realize that that fight comes from within you. Because in truth, if you really sit there to try to understand somebody, if you really listen, all of us have stories. All of us have stories of where and why we're here at where we're at. Why the consequences of our actions, the repercussions, the suffering we cause to others because of our own sufferings. We can live in peace if we choose to. This totally didn't go the way I expected because it did at first, but I really wanted to talk more further into those other things. But now I'm just I am emotionally drained at the moment. Because a lot of times when you think about things, it's a lot of sitting there. And it's just that energy of being and appreciating and loving and seeing and understanding. This is possible for all of us. All the teachers before us that have suffered but chose that it was their life path. When I say that, I don't just mean the ones that you consider high and noble. The truth is, what's funny is, look at all the positions of power that we have. We enable their lying to us. We enable their actions. We allow them to do this to us, and here yet we fight and still enable. Think about your part of the responsibility of it. And yet it's hard because all of us are so in our own lives, because you have to understand it's designed that way for a reason, to keep you vibrating low. Man, there's so much to life. I can't wait till I actually get every single thing I want to say out, to share everything that I know, that I wish to help you with. And yet, all I've ever gotten is not much understanding at the time, because it's so deep, and people need to deal with their own things first. So in truth, I actually went through a lot of hardships because a lot of people wanted me to keep my mouth shut because it was always too much, or they wanted me to talk a certain way so that they could understand. And through most of my journey, I have been trying to please every single person, to try to do it their way, and yet it wasn't even the right way still. And so I'm going to do what I need to do. And what I need to do first is I'm going to share what I need to share, and then I'll try to explain for the ones that don't understand. But the ones that do understand will then know who I am and what I'm doing here, because they get it. And in time, actually it is time, many of them will get it right now. And that's why I'm going to share that way. So what I'm trying to say is I came from here trying to please everybody, and it was very small, the amount of people that would understand. And now I'm going to share what I know this way. And look at this completeness. And yet it's kind of like an hourglass too, hey? And a figure 8. I love you all, and I'm so excited for people to understand finally me and us and who we are in this life that is so magical and beautiful. Again, I'm not saying it's not hard. Life on Earth is one of the hardest things. Human 3D is one of the hardest things. Free will and choice is one of the hardest things. And yet it's what makes us so strong and freaking powerful and who we are. And there is so much beauty in life that I cannot wait for you all to see. I want you to know too that Don't just look at people suffering and pity them, because they might not be going through what you think they are. Compassion is key, because in truth, sometimes that person that you're pitying is actually far better off than you know. But it's your perception of them that skews to you who they are and what they are. And at the same time, maybe what you needed to learn what you need to learn. To see. We're meant to see the things that we're meant to see to help us on our journeys. And it doesn't mean that that person is going through completely what you think they're going through in both ways. Some people might be suffering more than you know, and some people might not be suffering at all. It's just life. And it's amazing, because as if we're so similar and have so many similar experiences, and yet we're so different and have so many unique experiences still to this day. And it's so cool, is because I can speak this, and yet nothing is new of what I'm speaking, and yet it is new, you know? It's just the coolest. Anyways, I love you all. Enjoy life, okay? Especially right now. It's changed. It's changing, and it's because you're changing too. All of everything has already changed. That ripple is just hitting and hitting and hitting, and we're growing and we're expanding, and it's so much fun that we get to do this all together. You know, whatever intention, whatever perspective that you choose to do so. I love you all, and thank you to those who are helping to hold the frequency of love, of pure, unconditional love. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy, because remember, where you're at is exactly where you're meant to be, to get you to where you wish to go and who you want to be.